They're gonna be keel-hauled and lashed for an inch of your life.
You can't do that. It's against naval law.
And who are you to tell me about naval law? His name is Jones, sir. Davy Jones.
Davy Jones? As in Davy Jones's locker?
Yeah, right. It's his great-great-grandfather, and when he's 25, he inherits the locker.
Davy Jones on my ship. Oh, what a tremendous stroke of luck.
Yeah, you're right. That is very lucky.
Oh, yeah, one of my favorite shows was The Monkees. It was great. I remember Davy Jones all the time. He was a short little guy, English guy. It was great.
Hey, hey, we're the Monkees, and people say we monkey around, but we're too busy singing to try to put anybody down.
Hey, hey, we're the Monkees. That's about all I know, but I...
1, 2, 3, hey, hey, we're the Monkees. Come on. People say we monkey around. We're too busy singing to put anybody down. We're just trying to be friendly. Come and watch, sing and play. We're the young generation, and we got something to say.
Hey, we're the Monkees. I remember it. Davy Jones, where are you? We are lucky enough to have him right here with us this morning.
How are you doing?
This is unbelievable. This is such a thrill for me, I can't tell you.
I was crying back there watching that. I'm glad you got me off that ship. I was really seasick for a while.
That must have been so much fun to do.
Oh, fantastic, yeah. The Monkees was great.
What do you think of when you sit now and you watch the reruns? And
Well, you know, it's nice to see your work and be able to sort of like think about what you did and then say to yourself, well, I enjoyed that. Maybe I can improve on that. It's always nice to have a piece of film, you know, something that's... that you can refer to.
It's like a diary.
It's an exercise, you know, in film, and I tend to... I've collected a lot of the stuff over the years, and it's only recently that I have all the Monkees shows, which is it's kind of strange. Everybody had them except me. I don't actually sit around and look at them, but it's interesting after all these years to see that it's so popular and the kids are enjoying it.
I know. The videotape that we did, we went downtown with our, you know, a camera, just man on the street, and said, remember the Monkees? And people of all ages. Well, you heard them singing the song.
Yeah, well, there's not too much that's changed since those days, because 20 years ago. Because last year, the year before, Mickey and Peter and I went out and we toured and we played all over America. We got great response. You know, the kids that are watching the Monkees now, say on Nickelodeon or one of the other sort of channels, cables, they have sort of rediscovered the Monkees. And although we are 20 years older and look it...
No, you don't. I'm sorry.
we still have the fun of the fair in us, and we're still having a good time. It's nice to look in the audience to see the mums and dads out there and also see the kids, and they're all enjoying this same thing, you know. I get it from my own children. I've got a 19-year-old and a 16-year-old and a 6-year-old, and in fact, when I walked out of the house with a suit on, my 16-year-old said, you're not actually voluntarily wearing a suit and tie this morning. I said, and comments like, is this the guy that was voted cutest guy on Nickelodeon this year? I said, you got no chance, you see. So I just cruise along.
And what do the kids think? I mean, when they watch that,
Well, my kids say that when their daughters, my daughters have their friends around and things like that, it's a great boost for me because I have the full support of my family. And although they do comment about maybe putting a tie and a suit on and things like that, and being a grown-up, they also say things like that their girlfriend at school said that I was a major babe. You know? Major babe?
My father.
What does that mean? But it's all the fun of the fair. You know, I was listening earlier. Obviously, my life is very happy and carefree, and I've got a career, and I've got all kinds of things that that I have going. But obviously, there are all things that were happening in the '60s that weren't so good. We were having a great time making the TV shows, but we were still aware of all things like the Vietnam War and the civil rights marches on Washington, Martin Luther King, and things like that. And I think the only thing about being in show business is that you do kind of enclose yourself in this particular thing. And I don't think that a lot of people think that there's anything else up there, that you're aware of other things. I was listening earlier to the ladies there, and I was married once before. I was married for 10 years, and it was a very tragic thing, even the separation and the divorce. But On a lighter note, one of the things I do usually say when people are talking like that, a friend of mine, my joke was that my wife ran off with my best friend and I miss him. But it's not true. I mean, it's tragic, I know that, but I felt terrible myself. And
that was Linda.
Yeah, that was Linda, right.
You were married for 10 years.
Yeah,
you had
10 years.
2 children, 2 little girls.
But we're great friends, you know, and we still talk. And my ex-wife, my former wife, and my wife that I'm married to now, I refer to as my second wife. She says, "You mean there's going to be more?"
There's going to be a third.
No, this is it.
What's interesting, though, you mentioned Linda. When you first met Linda and you started to date, you were in the height of the Monkees fame.
Right.
And
she was after me for my money. That was it.
Is that what it was? But you had to keep it kind of quiet, didn't you?
Well, not really. It was just one of those things that you don't really go, I mean, you don't go sort of with a banner waving it around and telling everybody all your personal life. It's the same as these ladies. I mean, the opportunity for them to speak it out and relieve themselves of this tension and pressure is a wonderful thing. It's just that they do it in front of 12 million people. I mean,
but also the girls were after you, and you had this image, you know, Davy Jones. And what if Davy Jones had a girlfriend, much less a wife and baby?
Yeah, John Lennon admitted in the beginning, you know, I'm married, and this Cynthia's my wife, this, that, the other. It really didn't matter. And these days, it doesn't matter at all, because I think you've got to be over 35 to be in rock and roll anyway, it seems. Right. But it didn't really faze me, and I wasn't really thinking that way. And I have sort of read since in teenage magazines where the studio supposedly kept it quiet, but that was good press. Don't let the truth spoil the news was really the theory behind that particular exercise. And I never really did go around and say, "Oh, I'm not married," you know.
Right, that wasn't your intention.
It wasn't my thing, but it was just something that we didn't have to sort of go publicize. We were busy doing a TV show, shooting. We did 58 episodes. We went to 36 countries around the world. We made about 10 albums, and we've got loads of singles. They sold 100 million records. It was an incredible pleasure to take part in such a project where there were great songwriters like Carole King and Neil Diamond, Harry Nilsson, Neil Sedaka, Carol Bayer-Sager, Lieber and Stoller, Tommy Boyce, Bobby Hart, some great songwriters, great promotion, a company like Screen Gems that had other hit TV shows, so they knew how to handle success, you know, not only for the show, but for the boys or for the people that were playing in it. So we got a lot of help in that department. If there were any regrets for me and feelings towards the studio that were sort of promoting us, that they never really gave us any financial advice, they never gave us any sort of like career direction
just threw you into
the
it.
magazine. We just worked ourselves every day for, you know, 20 hours a day, and it was quite close to being 20 hours a day, from going in the studio in the morning, filming the shows, in the recording studio at night, doing concert appearances, personal appearances. I mean, we weren't the greatest band in the world, but we did have live albums, and we did play live.
And you had fun.
In fact, when we played the national anthem, people from every country stood up. So, you know, it wasn't the greatest music you've ever heard, but it was good.
How about the theme? Hey, hey, want to do a little one with me?
They did it better than we did, that group out there on the street.
It's not true. It's not true. You've also become an author. I want to let people know that.
I've written a book. It's called They Made a Monkey Out of Me. The names have been changed to protect the guilty. Actually, the names have been changed to protect me from the guilty.
Is that what it
all these lawsuits fly around. You mentioned something about somebody. So I've changed all these names. I've got a restaurant in there called Benny's, and I change people's names around that I'm talking about. It was a pleasure writing. It was a way for me to dust off the shelf and sort of make room for new stuff. And I've written this book about my life growing up, meeting people in New York as a child actor at 15. I was on Broadway playing the Artful Dodger in Oliver. I was lunching at the Russian Tea Room occasionally with people like Judy Garland, and meeting Sammy Davis, and going out and partying, and just had my mouth open watching
I've heard of
all
them.
that was going on, you know. And so sort of thought it was all, I took it all in my stride, and finally at the age of 19 the Monkees started, and then it went on from there. I've been working in theatre, television in England. I have, as you say, my book, They Made a Monkey Out of Me. It's all over the place, and
it's fun to read, I must tell you.
I'm going to be at Faneuil Hall on Saturday.
Signing copies so people can come down and meet you.
Yeah, and there's I've been talking to some producers about a Broadway show, and which is basically my, you know,
You wanna do
place where I
Broadway?
I've been on Broadway before, and as I say, nominated for a Tony Award, so I might go back and try to get it this time. I have a TV show the 7th of February, My Two Dads, where I play a friend of Greg's. I don't know if you've ever seen the show. It's a comedy series about these two dads that have one daughter.
Right, yes.
I say, you mean I leave town for 5 months and you have a 12-year-old daughter?
It's
My
not
goodness.
moving.
How does that happen? But it's fun.
It is fun. It's fun to watch. It's fun from this side of the set, that's for sure. And I thank you very much for taking the time to be on the show and wish you continued success.
Oh, thank you. It's a pleasure.
And once again, people can meet you on Saturday at Faneuil Hall, where you're going to be signing copies of They Made a Monkey Out of Me.
Here we go, walking down the street. We get the funniest looks from everybody we meet.
Hey, hey, we're the monkey. All right.
I knew we should have had you in.